I never expected to find my long-lost daughter in an orphanage. Her heartbreaking cry changed everything. The moment I stepped across the threshold, the pungent smell of bleach mixed with the faint scent of something sweet wafted through the air, hitting me hard in the gut. It was cold and sterile, like a hospital, but the silence wrapped around me like a thick, suffocating blanket, making my heart race. I will never forget the day everything fell apart. The day I lost her. I had spent years wondering if she was safe, if she was okay. The sweet, soft face of my baby girl, now a faded memory. I felt my hands trembling, my chest tight as I approached the small, cracked window, the only source of light illuminating the dreary room. Children, lost and forgotten, their eyes vacant, like ghosts wandering aimlessly. They were scattered around, some playing quietly, others staring blankly at the peeling wallpaper. Then I heard it. A cry, high-pitched and desperate, cutting through the silence like a knife. My heart stopped. Time stood still. I followed the sound, each step heavy with dread. The hallway seemed endless. It felt like a labyrinth where hope could easily get lost. I turned a corner, breath hitching in my throat, my mind clouded with possibilities. Was it her? Had fate brought me to my daughter after all these years? The cry grew louder, more piercing. I pushed open a door to a small room, barely illuminated. Inside, crammed with crayon-stained furniture and strewn toys, was a little girl. Her hair was wild, tangled, like she had fought against her circumstances. Tears streamed down her tiny cheeks. My heart ached with unbearable longing. The sight was both beautiful and wrenching. I approached, slowly, afraid to be hopeful. "Hey," I whispered, my voice cracking. "It's okay. I'm here." She looked up, and for a moment our eyes locked. The world around us faded. In that instant, I could see the history of pain, the yearning of a child who had been lost, just like I had. But then the moment shattered as she flinched, moving away from me as if I were a dangerous stranger. Confusion crashed over me. Why was she afraid? I knelt down, my hands raised, hoping to bridge the gap between us. The atmosphere was thick with tension, her body language screaming mistrust. The seconds felt like hours as I fought against the impulse to reach out and grab her, to embrace her tightly like a long-lost treasure. Surely, she could feel the bond between us, right? People said that love could break through any wall, but what if the wall was made of fear? I glanced around the dim room, shadows stretching like dark fingers down the walls. It was as if the very air was tainted with whispers of despair, the sobs of other children echoing in my ears like a haunting melody. I couldn't let her slip away, not again. With a trembling voice, I called her name, the name I had held in secret for so long. Nothing, just silence. I watched as she curled into herself, an island of trauma in a sea of neglect. The realization hit me like ice water. What if she didn't even remember me? I stood up, heart pounding, desperate to find the answers hidden in those dark, vacant eyes. But just then, the door flung open, and a stern woman rushed in, her eyes wide with authority. "What are you doing here?" she snapped, eyes darting between me and the child. Panic rose in my throat, fear mingling with urgency. Was this woman a threat? Would she take my daughter away from me again? "Wait, please. She's mine," I pleaded, my voice breaking with emotion, but the weight of my words barely registered in the echoing space. That woman's expression was blank, but her stance was defensive. I could see shadows of judgment dance around her, the silent crowd of children, all watching. My heart raced, adrenaline coursing through me. What would they do if I didn't get my daughter out of here? What if this was the last time I saw her? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them. Without warning, take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The woman stood there, an immovable barrier between me and the child I had longed to hold for years. Her face held no warmth, but her eyes were sharp, assessing. I took a step forward, barely suppressing the urge to reach for my daughter, to scoop her up and run far away. "Please," I said again, my voice more desperate. She's my daughter. I've been searching for her all these years. I cannot just walk away now. Your daughter? The woman's skepticism was palpable. You think just because you claim that she belongs to you? Do you have any proof? Anything? Proof? I echoed, the word tasting bitter on my tongue. How could I provide proof when all I held were memories wrapped in a fog of uncertainty and loss? From behind the woman, I caught a fleeting glimpse of my daughter's face. Her eyes were wide, still glistening with tears. In that moment, I realized that her expression wasn't just fear. It was a profound confusion, a desperate longing for connection even in the midst of her anguish. She wanted someone to fight for her. I redirected my gaze back to the woman, softening my posture, hoping to dissolve a little of the tension thickening the air. I don't have any papers or documents. I can't prove it now, but I swear I will do whatever it takes to show you she matters to me. She's all I think about. I lost her once, and I can't lose her again. The woman regarded me with narrowed eyes, as if trying to find the lie hidden in my honesty. But behind her stern facade, I saw the slightest crack of hesitation. I had to exploit it. Look at her, I pleaded softly, turning slightly so she could see my daughter more clearly. She's hurting. I can help her. She shouldn't be alone. No child should be alone. The room was silent except for the soft, muffled sobs of other children who had surely witnessed this confrontation. My heart sank at the realization that for many of them, this was their reality, a revolving door of endless questioning with no answers in sight. Do you think she remembers you? The woman asked, crossing her arms as if trying to shield herself from the weight of the moment. Children adapt quickly to loss. My chest constricted at her words. I don't care if she doesn't remember. I'm here now. That has to mean something. The woman's face hardened again, but in her stillness, I saw the tiniest flicker of consideration. You need to understand that this is a very complicated situation. You can't simply waltz in here and claim her. That. Something in me snapped. I know things are complicated. I know it's messy, but please, I just want her to know she's loved. Someone cares. I care. Then, my daughter's hesitant voice broke through the charged atmosphere. Mommy? The word hung in the air, thick with fusion of shock and hope. My heart thundered in response, every synapse tingling with renewed energy. I turned to her, my vision blurring with tears, daring to step closer, but the woman moved to block me again. Let her stay where she is, she demanded, her voice lowering to a near growl. You don't understand how fragile their hearts are here. As if the universe decided to throw me one more curveball, the pitter-patter of little feet filled the hallway outside, announcing the arrival of the other caregivers. There was a sense of urgency that hung in the air, mingling with my fears and uncertainties. I felt my chance slipping through my fingers. I can do better, I said, desperation leaking through my facade. I've changed. I've learned. Please, just let me show you. But before she could respond, a hushed grouping of voices approached, followed by a bright-eyed girl with curls bouncing, her overflowing joy seeming out of place in this dismal setting. Without a thought, she ran straight towards us. Miss Hannah said we could make cookies today, she announced, her voice ringing out like hope itself. There was something infectious about her glee, but the woman glared at her. Get back to your group, she snapped, her authority rushing back like a tide. Ignoring her, the girl looked up at me and beamed. Are you here to adopt? The word hung heavy between us, pulsating with possibility. No, sweetheart, I'm just here for her. I pointed to my daughter, who was wide-eyed and stunned, still clutching the edge of the grimy toy box. Then you should try cookies. They make everything better. The girl turned to skip away, leaving a lingering bubble of lightness that fought back the shadows swirling in my heart. But before I could fully absorb the brief moment of joy, the woman turned her attention back to me, her expression still impenetrable. You need to leave. You can come back tomorrow, but no more outbursts. Tomorrow? My breath caught. What if a blaring alarm echoed down the hall, the sound slicing through my hopes? The woman's expression shifted again to one of annoyance. You're holding up our schedule. Get out. I took a step back, reality crashing down around me. The door loomed larger than life, a gateway back to a world where I felt incomplete and lost. With a final look at the trembling figure of my daughter pressed against the wall, regret seeped through my veins like poison. Please, just let me see her again, I implored, but the woman would have none of it. She ushered me back through the door, her forceful demeanor pushing me out into the sterile hallway as the door shut behind me with a finality that echoed mine. I felt like I'd been thrust into a void. I looked back, trying to catch one last glimpse of my daughter, trying to etch her face into my mind like a lifeline. But I stopped, something catching in my throat. Through the small glass window, I saw her turn her head, the brief flicker of hope seeping back into her expression. She lifted a tiny hand, hesitantly waving goodbye as more tears spilled down her cheeks. But just then, a flicker of movement caught my eye. The woman pointed to my daughter, speaking harshly, gesturing toward the door. I couldn't hear their conversation, but in that dim room, I watched fear draw lines around my daughter's small form, and dread washed over me like a tidal wave that I stumbled back, heart racing as the reality of this fight settled on my shoulders, weighing me down. My daughter was still in there, still lost among those walls that felt insurmountable. And just when I thought it couldn't get worse, the gears of fate shifted. As I turned to leave, my phone buzzed violently in my pocket. Unsteady, I fished it out, glancing at the screen. A message flashed across with urgency. It was from an unknown number, but the words turned my blood to ice. I know where she really is. And just like that, my world shifted again, layered with new layers of anxiety and hope as I felt the ground beneath my feet tremble, threatening to sweep me into the unknown. The human heart has an uncanny ability to cling to hope, even in the darkest of times. As I stood in the sterile hallway, my breath coming in unsteady gusts, that hope became my only tether to sanity. But as the weight of the message hung heavily in the air, I felt the allure of despair creeping in, gnawing at the edges of my resolve. Clutching my phone tightly, I stepped away from the orphanage, determination coursing through my veins alongside a fresh wave of fear. I know where she really is. The message loomed like a specter. What did that mean? Who sent it? My heart raced as I recalled the confrontation with the woman, her fierce protectiveness over my daughter, a protectiveness I desperately wished was not an impenetrable wall. The cold outside air rushed to greet me, an unwelcome reminder of the world that continued, indifferent to my plight. I leaned against the brick wall of the orphanage, the rough surface grounding me while every memory of my daughter surged like an ocean wave threatening to overwhelm. The image of her small, trembling figure lingered in my mind, etched there by the innocent plea of Mommy. She needed me, and I couldn't hopelessly face the shadows of this situation. As I thumbed the message on my phone yet again, I noticed a nearby cafe bathed in warm light, a small refuge from the storm brewing within me. Maybe, just maybe, I could gather my thoughts in that safe bubble while I devised my next steps. The world buzzed with life around me, and yet I felt isolated, caught between two realities: the joyous normalcy of parents sharing laughs over coffee and my insurmountable grief. Inside the cafe, the sweet aroma of freshly brewed coffee enveloped me, but it was the warmth of a kind smile from the barista that caught me off guard. "What can I get for you today?" she asked, her voice gentle and soothing. It was the first time someone had acknowledged my presence without a hint of skepticism or judgment since I entered that orphanage. "Just a black coffee, please," I managed to reply, grateful for the brief normality offered. As she poured the steaming liquid, I felt an unexpected flicker of warmth, kindness in the midst of chaos. I took my coffee and found a secluded table in the corner. Setting my phone down, I stared at the message, trying to summon the courage to respond. Moments trickled by, and the chaos in my mind began to quiet, allowing clarity to take its place. I resolved to reach out to the unknown number, but my fingers hesitated. What if this was a trap? Yet, what if it was my chance, a path to my daughter? With a steadying breath, I began to type. "Who are you? What do you know?" Before I could second-guess myself, I hit send and waited, the silence around me thick with anticipation. As I sipped my coffee, the wait felt interminable. An uncomfortable pit formed in my stomach, and my thoughts began racing again. What if this was a cruel joke? What if it led me into a darker place, further away from my daughter? My heart began to race. Thoughts swirled. Flashes of the orphanage doors shutting in my face replayed in my head. Just as I felt despair rising once more, my phone buzzed. The unexpected sound made my heart leap. I quickly opened the message. It was a single line: "Meet me at Milner Park. They'll show you the truth." The fear and excitement mingled within me, igniting a fire that had waned under the pressure of loss. Milner Park was a few blocks away, a familiar place from happier times before everything had taken a dark turn. As I stood to leave, the longing to embrace my daughter bloomed brighter than the doubts clouding my heart that I stepped outside, the chilly air furrowing into my skin with each hurried stride towards the park. I had always believed that paths in life twist and turn, sometimes leading us through thorns only to reach a blooming garden on the other side. Would this lead me there? As I neared the entrance of Milner Park, the familiar rustle of leaves painted the air with nostalgia. I pivoted to scan the park, but found no one waiting for me. Anxiety gnawed at my insides. Did I misinterpret the message? I had taken a gamble by being here. What if it amounted to nothing? Just then, a child's laughter rang out from the playground, slicing through the tension like a silver blade. I turned, hoping to see a familiar small face. But instead, what I saw chilled my breath. A girl with dark curls, no older than my daughter, stood on the swings, her silhouette oddly reminiscent of someone I once knew. I felt my heart clench. Was it possible? Was this a coincidence, or was I really being led to find a deeper truth? As I approached, she turned, looking directly at me. The laughter faded from her voice, replaced by something stirring in her gaze. Recognition? Or perhaps fear? In that moment, I took a step closer, my heartbeat quickening, praying for the connection I so desperately desired. And then, from behind her, I saw a movement, and with it the unmistakable figure of a woman, the same one who had restrained my hope in the orphanage. My pulse raced in my temples. What was she doing here? Just as all the new pieces of this puzzle began to fit into place, her eyes locked onto mine, filled with a tumult of emotions, a mix of defiance and warning that sent chills spiraling down my spine. That I told you to stay away, she uttered, and I felt the ground beneath me begin to tremble, my world shifting once more into an abyss of uncertainty, fear, and an anger that flared in my chest. In that suffocating moment, the shadows of truth began to shift once more, threatening to consume everything I had fought to regain. The air hung thick with impending confrontation as I tried to process the woman's warning. Stay away echoed in my mind, mixing with the memories of my daughter's fearful eyes. My heart raced further into the storm of uncertainty, and with each pounding beat, the fight within me surged. I couldn't retreat now, not when I was so close. The girl on the swing continued to watch me, her dark curls bouncing with each small movement, her expression veiled in confusion. I bit my lip, caught between the instinct to run towards her and the paralyzing fear of the woman's icy glare. But I am not here to cause trouble, I said, my voice steadier than I felt. I just want to know the truth about my daughter. The woman folded her arms tightly across her chest, her stance firm and unyielding. The truth isn't what you think it is. Some things are better left in the dark. I took a deep breath, pushing through the rising panic. I can't let her stay in the dark any longer. She deserves to know her mother, and I deserve to know her. My own words seemed to pierce through the air, daring her to respond. A flicker of vulnerability crossed her face, but it was gone before I could process it. You don't understand what's at stake, she said, her voice softer but laced with a warning. You have no idea what you're asking for. What do you mean? I felt an electric charge run through me, a desperate need to uncover the layers shrouding this woman's motives. Why are you protecting her? My confrontation ebbed as the girl, still at a distance, appeared to be caught in the middle of our tension. Her eyes flicked between us, and for a moment, I could see the confusion knotting her small forehead. It broke something within me, a reminder that she was just a child who was supposed to feel secure, not ensnared in an adult conflict. Please, I choked out, forcing my gaze onto the girl. I'm your mother. I've been searching for you. All of this has been for you. As the words left my mouth, the weight of their truth washed over me. I hoped she could feel it, that unspeakable bond that had never faded. The swing creaked softly as she shifted, her glance finally settling on the woman. Is that true? She asked quietly, her voice trembling, revealing the fragile hope that echoed in my own heart. The woman's expression darkened, but before she could respond, the girl took a hesitant step towards me. Why did you leave? She asked, a child's raw curiosity awakening old scars within me. That single question cut deeper than any knife, and I felt the floodgates of grief threaten to burst open. I didn't wanna. I thought I had to, I whispered, my heart aching to explain, to mend what had been shattered. but I've never stopped looking for you. You are my everything. Suddenly, a sharp cry shattered the moment, a child tumbling off the swing nearby. Instinctively, I glanced towards the noise. The park erupted around us in chaos, parents rushing to comfort their children, laughter turning to sobs. In that fleeting distraction, the woman's expression shifted, her defenses temporarily lowered, revealing something I had not expected. Compassion. Let's talk somewhere else, she said, her voice suddenly softening. This isn't the place for this. She stepped away from the girl, a motion that spoke volumes. I could sense her hesitance, her internal struggle between a fierce protectiveness and the undeniable pull toward honesty. Hope ignited once more as I contemplated her offer. Are you saying you'll help me? The desperation in my voice surfaced, tinged with disbelief. She sighed deeply, the lines in her forehead softening. I won't let you hurt her, but there are things you need to understand first. I nodded, urging my feet to move, my instincts driving me closer to the possibility of reconnecting with my daughter. She glanced back at me, and to my surprise, she stepped closer, reaching for my hand, as if instinctively knowing she had a choice to make too. The woman's eyes shot to the girl in shock, and I felt tension weave itself tightly between us again. You need to stay back, she snapped, regaining her composure. But the girl, her small hand slipping into mine, looked fearless. No, I want to know. I want my mom. The moment hung heavy, teetering on a knife's edge, and I could feel the weight of decisions being made, the shadows of our pasts colliding painfully yet beautifully. Before I could respond, the park erupted in a hellish cacophony of sirens echoing from somewhere far off, an ominous signal cutting through the moment. It echoed deeper, sending shivers down my spine, as if some unseen force had intervened. What's happening? I asked, glancing around nervously. Mom. I'm scared, the girl said, her grip on my hand tightening. Stay close. We need to go now. The woman snapped with urgency, yet her eyes betrayed a flicker of fear. Before I could process what was occurring, she stepped forward, blocking my path, the weight of a secret teetering on the brink of revelation. You don't understand what's coming, but you need to trust me if you want to protect her, she said firmly. That I opened my mouth to argue, but was cut short by the ferocity of the sirens. That I will explain everything, she promised, a dark echo of uncertainty in her tone. Then, in a pulse of desperate fear before I could voice my protests, a motorcycle roared past just outside the park, a shadow weaving through the falling dusk, and my pulse quickened with the growing sense of danger. My heart raced, caught between tumultuous emotions, hope and fear clashing like storm clouds. The path before me twisted, and I knew that whatever lay ahead would change everything. The truth I had so desperately sought was now shrouded in the very air around us, thick with uncertainty and the promise of peril. The world around us felt like it was spiraling, a whirlwind of confusion and dread intensifying. The sirens grew louder, drawing closer, and the air was saturated with an unshakable tension. It felt unnatural, like a storm gathering just out of sight, ready to unleash its ferocity upon us. Mom, I want to go home, the girl whimpered, her voice small amidst the chaos. I clenched her hand tighter, needing to reassure her, to anchor myself amidst the rising tide of fear. Listen to me, I said, looking down at her wide, innocent eyes. I will never let anything happen to you. We're going to find a way to be together, okay? Just trust me. But as I said this, doubt gnawed at the edges of my resolve. The woman's intense gaze felt like a challenge, heavy with the burdens of her secrets. We have to move. Now, she insisted, and the urgency in her voice struck a chord deep within me. That I need to know what's happening. I managed to shout back against the din. You brought me here. Now tell me why. She hesitated, the conflict battling within her evident. Then, she seemed to deflate slightly, her shoulders lowering as she wrestled with the words. You think you're ready for the truth, but trust me, you have no idea how deep this goes. If you come with me, you might lose a part of yourself you never knew existed. Lose a part of myself? My thoughts raced, tangled with memories of my past, and the void left by my daughter's absence. What do you mean? But before she could answer, the encroaching sirens converged into view, a surge of blue and red lights slicing through the calm park atmosphere. My heart pounded in tandem with the confusion blossoming in my chest. Let's go? The woman snatched the girl's other hand, her urgency overriding my protests. This way, I stumbled forward, instinctively following them, my mind caught in turmoil. The world was unraveling, stretching before me like a taut string ready to snap. I couldn't shake the feeling that we were running from more than just the shifting danger outside. We were escaping the very truths I craved, truths that felt precariously close yet veiled in layers of pain. Are they coming for us? The girl asked, her voice quaking with fear and oh. The woman answered, casting a wary glance back. Not for us. But if they find you here, they will take you away. Take me where? I demanded, fear crowding my chest. What are you not telling me? Who are you? I'm someone who's been protecting your daughter from a truth that could destroy her, she said tightly. And now it's too late to shield her. The last words hung in the air like an invocation, echoless and breathless. I could feel my heart clench painfully at the implication, a mixture of despair and an unshakable urge to protect this child who was both mine and yet a stranger. As we rounded a corner away from the park, the woman led us to an alley lined with shadows that seemed to stretch and shift, making it hard to tell if they were welcoming or threatening. My apprehension mounted, the air thick with a sense of impending doom. Just as we reached the other end of the alley, we were met by a figure cloaked in darkness, silhouetted against the dim light. The woman halted, breathing heavily, panic flashing in her eyes as she took a step back, her protective instinct flaring once more. Who are you? She demanded, her voice trembling slightly as both fear and fury amalgamated. Is she with you? The figure asked. There was a sharpness in his voice that sliced through the tension, and instinct screamed at me to pull the girl closer. Yes. For now, she replied hastily. But we don't have much time. I don't think you understand, he said, taking a threatening step forward. She's out of options, and so are you. It's time to decide. My heart raced, the gravity of the moment pressing down as the weight of uncertainty threatened to suffocate me. A sickening chill crept down my spine. What do you mean? I shouted, anguish boiling in my throat. The figure smirked, and in that moment, a dark realization settled within me. You've been searching for the truth, haven't you? But some truths come with a price. Before I could process his words, before I could react, a deafening crack echoed through the alley. And just like that, the world splintered into chaos. What was that? The girl screamed, panic flooding her features. I felt her fear radiate through our clasped hands, and with a surge of instinct, I pushed the girl behind me. Stay behind me, no matter what. Mom, trust me, I shouted, the word ringing hollow even in my own ears. The chaos around us erupted into sounds of shouts and approaching footsteps. The woman cast me a desperate look. We need to move now. Uncertainty gnawed at my insides. But as we launched back into the cacophony of the city, a thought struck me. Whatever this fight was, it wasn't just about finding my daughter anymore. It was about survival, about unearthing the darker forces that loomed over us. Time felt suspended as we dashed away, hearts pounding in sync with the urgency around us. And as we plunged into the unknown, the revelation loomed like a dark storm cloud. The fight for my daughter was entwined with something infinitely larger, and I could feel the pull of its shadows drawing nearer, ready to reveal truths I was not prepared to confront. The rain began to fall as we dashed through the night, the echo of our hurried footsteps mingling with the rising wind. Each raindrop felt like a cold reminder of the peril we faced, a chill that snaked around my heart, squeezing unyieldingly. I glanced back at the woman, her features half obscured in the dark, and saw the steely determination mingling with fear in her eyes. Who was she really, and what truth was she concealing that could perhaps explain our existence here, caught in this desperate moment? Where are we going? I yelled over the sound of the rain, needing to find a foothold in the ever-shifting landscape of my heart. A safe place, she shouted back, her voice laced with urgency. It's the only way we can figure out what's happening. The girl had fallen silent, her small body pressed tightly against my side as we rushed down the deserted street. While the city buzzed with the glow of distant lights, it felt as though we swam in an unlit expanse, a chasm that threatened to swallow us whole. I could sense her fear, a palpable thing radiating from her. I swallowed hard, pushing aside my own dread to be her protector. Suddenly, the woman yanked us into a small doorway, its weather-beaten surface hardly noticeable against the night. In here, she urged, and we tumbled inside, desperate to escape the elements and the darkness that followed us. Inside, the building was dim, only faintly illuminated by an overhead light flickering sporadically. The smell of damp wood and old dust enveloped us, an echo of secrets hidden in this forgotten space. It was quieter here, yet every breath felt heavy with the weight of unspoken words. What now? I panted, clutching the girl tightly against me. I could hardly meet the woman's gaze, the growing dread becoming a tangible thing swirling in the pit of my stomach. The woman glanced over her shoulder, listening intently, as if unsure of how long our sanctuary would last. Her expression softened for a moment, allowing a glimmer of vulnerability to break through. "I know this is frightening, but I promise you're safe for now," she said, her voice low and earnest, "until we can understand why the world outside is turning against us. Can you just tell me what is happening?" I begged, desperation clawing at my throat. "I just want to know what's going on with my daughter." If my words triggered something deep inside her. She placed her hand on mine, steadying my racing heart. "You have to trust me. This isn't just about you or her anymore. It goes deeper. It's about a power that has existed for centuries, and we're all caught in the middle of it." The weight of her words pressed down on me, pulling my mind towards a mysterious void filled with questions, fears, and shreds of hope. "What kind of power?" I whispered, despair punctuating my voice. "Those who seek to control it are relentless," she replied, stepping back slightly, as if the admission could pull her into the abyss with it. "They've been watching both of you, and now they won't stop until they have what they want." "They want my daughter?" I felt a sharp shard of panic slice through my heart. "What do they want with her?" "The girl you hold so dearly is not who you think she is," the woman said quietly, her eyes wide with urgency. "She's special, and there are forces that wish to exploit that. The truth of her existence may shatter everything you believe to be true." I flinched, feeling like a loose thread in a tapestry I had yet to comprehend. "What do you mean? I don't understand." Just then, a loud crash sounded from outside, sharp and jarring, sending a surge of adrenaline coursing through my veins. The woman's face paled, and she moved to the door, peering out into the night. "Stay back," I hissed, instinctively pushing the girl further behind me as I stepped toward the approaching noise. It echoed in my ears, an ominous reminder that danger was ever present, and it would take more than our will to evade it. Just then, a figure appeared, blurred at first, but rapidly becoming more distinct. My heart raced as the shadows coalesced into a dark silhouette, cloaked in the night. "You can't hide from the inevitable," a voice shouted, raw and filled with malice. The woman stiffened, her grip tightening on the door frame. "We need to go. They found us." Before I could fully process her words, the door burst open, a gust of wind swirling rain and chaos into our fragile sanctuary. I could feel the girl tremble against me, and that simple reminder of her innocence fortified my resolve. Whatever awaited us, I would guard her to the ends of the earth. I would protect her. The figure stepped inside, eyes gleaming with a malevolent light that sent a chill down my spine. "You cannot protect her. She belongs to us," he hissed, and in that moment, the full weight of my truth unraveled. "No," I said, my voice shaking yet firm. "She is mine." But as the shadows shifted around us, a swirling uncertainty enveloped my heart. A new revelation pierced through the darkness, leaving me unsteady. Perhaps in our desperate flight, we were not merely trying to escape our pursuers. We were running towards something entirely unforeseen, a destiny intertwined with threads that I had barely begun to grasp. "Mom," the girl cried as the figure stepped forward, the atmosphere around me thick with tension and foreboding. "What's happening?" And in that moment, faced with the encroaching darkness, I realized I was not ready for the truths that lay ahead. I was merely a heartbeat away from losing everything I held dear, and the charge of the unknown hung heavy in the air. We were on the brink of something momentous, and the eerie echo of the woman's warning clung to me. Sometimes, truths come with a price. The air around us crackled with tension, the figure standing before us exuding an aura of dread that sent shivers down my spine. A flicker of recognition danced in my mind as I sensed that he was more than just a stranger. He embodied a power that left no room for doubt about his intent. "Your daughter," he drawled, a sinister smile creeping across his face. "She is a key," a bridge to a world you cannot comprehend. You've kept her sheltered for far too long, but her true potential is just beginning to awaken. I clenched my teeth, a surge of protectiveness igniting my every instinct. I won't let you take her. My voice echoed defiantly in the cramped space, but my heart raced, questioning how bravely I could stand against the tide of fate that loomed before us. You even understand what you're fighting against? He sneered, stepping closer, and I could see now the undeniable truth in his eyes. She believed he was untouchable. You're outmatched, child, enough. The woman's fierce shout broke through my haze of fear. With a sudden rush, she stepped forward, placing herself between us and the encroaching figure. You may have power, but you underestimate the bond that exists between a mother and her child. The gravity of her words struck me deeply. In that fleeting moment, filled with the tension of a heartbeat, I realized this was no longer simply about survival. It was a battle for the truth, and the stakes were far greater than any of us had anticipated. Your bond cannot save you, he hissed, his voice dripping with disdain. She is meant for more than your little bubble of safety allows. You are blindsided by your own love. As he spoke, I noticed the girl's small hand clutching mine, her tiny fingers trembling as she pressed closer against me. Her eyes, wide and glistening with fear, bore into mine, and in their depths, I glimpsed an innocence that imparted both pain and hope. How could I protect her from this dark reality? Stop. My voice cracked, desperation rising. What do you want from her? A flicker of amusement crossed the figure's face, and for a moment, it felt as if the world had paused, waiting for his response. It is not I who wants, but what she holds within her. The ability to alter fates, to command the very fabric of existence, he said, his tone rising with fervor. Imagine the chaos she could sow or the order she could restore. I offer her a place in a new world, one in which her true nature will flourish. The woman turned towards us, her eyes filled with a mix of concern and fierce determination. He's lying, she said vehemently, her voice steady and imploring. They want to use her, to mold her into something she was never meant to be. You must believe in her innocence. An icy realization washed over me, an understanding that perhaps this moment was not about just fleeing into the night. Perhaps it was deeper revelation that could lead to a choice, one that could redefine the essence of our bond. Listen to me, I said, trembling yet resolute, lowering my voice to the girl. Whatever happens, I will not let you go. You are my heart, and no one can take that from us. My words wrapped around her like a promise, a lifeline she could cling to in this storm. While we stood together, the figure continued to loom ominously, shadows curling around him as if alive. It is futile to defy destiny, he warned, his voice slithering like smoke through the air. Ultimately, she will choose her true heritage, and when she does, I will be waiting. My daughter will never choose you. I shot back, fueled by both fear and a burgeoning fury that coursed through my veins. So be it, he replied, amusement dancing in his eyes. With a swift motion, he swatted his hand through the air. The dim lighting in the room flickered, plunging us briefly into darkness, and when the light returned, he was gone, vanished as if contemplating the moment itself. The sudden silence pressed in around us, the absence of his malevolence feeling eerily surreal. I turned to the woman, still shaken but resolute. What do we do now? We must accelerate our plans, she replied, her voice firm and unwavering. We have to reach the others before they do. This is not only about your daughter, but a reckoning that's been brewing for years. There are those who would aid us who understand the truth of her power. Before I could respond, a low rumble echoed through the building, causing the walls to tremble in alignment with my racing heart. A brief fear-gripped meth building itself felt as if it might consume us. Whatever our troubles may be, we are stronger in unity, she urged, catching my eye with a fierce intensity. But time is running out. We can't linger here. With the pall of uncertainty still heavy upon us, I tightened my grip on the girl's hand, her warm presence grounding me in this surreal storm. As we moved through the door and into the thick night, a profound feeling nestled in my chest. Our flight was no longer merely about escape. We were on a journey to uncover hidden truths and perhaps extend the boundaries of love. Yet even as hope flickered against the darkness, another unsettling thought began to unfurl in my mind. Could I not only safeguard her from the shadows outside, but also from the truths that awaited us, lurking in the depths of her very soul? The urgency of our situation seemed to press more heavily with each step we took. As we hastened down the rain-drenched street, a wild scream cut through the silence, echoing off the brick walls and crashing over us like a wave. It wasn't just a cry of fear, it was a sound heavy with longing and pain. "Mom!" The voice pierced through the night, and my heart nearly stopped. The girl looked up at me, confusion swirling in her eyes. "Did you hear that?" "Yes," I said, breathless, feeling the earth shift beneath my feet as the hair on my arms stood on end. Who was that crying? And why did it feel like the voice had become tangled with threads of my own memories? Before I had time to process it, a figure emerged from the shadows, a child. A girl, identical to the one I held tightly. "Please help me. Don't leave me." My mind reeled at the sight, the impossible reality blurring lines that I thought were firm. The girl in my arms looked up at me, bewildered, and a sinking sensation of dread settled in the pit of my stomach. In that moment, the night, thick with danger and questions, seemed ready to engulf us whole. Who were we really? And what awaited us as we pushed deeper into the chaos that surrounded us? The urge to protect surged through my veins, but the truth was slipping through my fingers like sand in an hourglass, racing toward oblivion and revelation intertwined. The streets felt alive with every echo of fear and uncertainty. I stepped forward, instinctively shielding the girl beside me, who pressed against me, her eyes wide with confusion. "Who are you?" I called to the apparition emerging from the shadows. The child was a mirror image of my daughter, same dark curls spilling around her face, same large, soulful eyes that glistened with innocence and terror. But this girl wore tattered clothes, a testament to a life of neglect and fear. "Please," she pleaded again, her small hands outstretched as if reaching for something, anything. The air thickened with desperation. "I don't want to be alone, I need you." The words crashed over me like a wave, both disarming and electrifying. How could this be? What cruel twist of fate had propelled us into this moment? "Stop!" I shouted, the voice of authority bubbling to the surface. "Where did you come from?" The child darted closer, peering into my eyes as if searching for a lifeline. "I don't know, they took me from my home. But you can help me. I know you can." The girl at my side shivered, pulling me closer, sensing the turmoil spiraling around us. I glanced down at her, my heart caught between disbelief and need. Her expression was one of confusion mixed with a dawning horror. Was she afraid to look into the eyes of her mirror image? "Is she?" my daughter whispered, her voice raw with innocence, raw with fear. Before I could answer, the girl in front of us pulled at my heartstrings, anxious desire etched on her face. "Can't you see? She's just like you. How can you leave me here?" Suddenly, the wind howled, twisting through the alleyway as it danced between us and the girl. Her eyes seemed to glimmer with something almost otherworldly, and I felt the ground tremble with whatever power was brewing beneath the surface. "Don't listen to her," I urged, stepping protectively in front of my daughter, the pulse of anxiety quickening in my chest. "She's trying to trick us." But deep down, I felt a flicker of doubt igniting. How could I be so certain? There was a magnetic pull between the two girls, and my heart was in turmoil. "Not a trick," the child insisted, her voice trembling but unwavering. "I am your daughter. I'm here, I need you." My thoughts raced, struggling to comprehend this bizarre dilemma unraveling before me. I knew the girl beside me, her laughter could fill any room, and her nightmares would turn to sweetness with just the warmth of my embrace. How could anyone be so cruel as to take a child? And why was it that this lost girl felt like a whisper from my own past? The woman beside me, who had guided us into this uncharted territory, shook her head slowly. "This isn't a coincidence. It's a purpose." "What do you mean?" I shot back, pressing for clarity amidst the chaos. "What kind of purpose?" She took a step closer, the intensity of her gaze unwavering. "There's a chance, a hidden truth waiting to emerge. What if they are connected in ways we cannot yet fathom? Both represent pieces of something greater." The wind gusted fiercely, and I felt the grip of reality tightening. I turned my attention back to the lost girl, the chill in the air wrapping around me like a freezing breath. "Do you really know who I am?" I asked slowly, measuring her power with delicate caution. "Yes," she exclaimed, desperation crystallizing into hope as she reached out again. You are my mother. Don't you see? You can't leave me. Panic threatened to envelop me. The weight of choice pressed down on my shoulders, and for a moment, the world around us faded into a blur. What if she spoke the truth? Could I truly have another child, hidden away from me? A swell of emotions threatened to drown me as it all spiraled toward a shocking conclusion. What ties bound us together? As uncertainty overcame me, the girl by my side clutched my arm tighter. Please, let's just go, she pleaded. I don't want to stay here. Before I could respond, the world shifted around us again, the night alive with a sharp crack of thunder. The sound reverberated in my bones, and the shadows around us seemed to lengthen, pressing in from all sides, as if they sought to swallow us whole. No. The cry was primal, echoing from somewhere deep within me. The burden of wearing two destinies tore at my heart, and an instinctive desire to protect surged within me. Come with me. The lost girl stepped closer, a vulnerable light in her eyes. We can find a way together. No, I shouted, recoiling but moving her closer to the other child, my heart caught in a tempest. I need to protect her. Thunder crashed again, shaking the heavens, and as our eyes flickered among the shadows of uncertainty, another revelation burst wide open. Could there be truth woven into her cries? What had become of the life I never knew existed, one fraught with pain and lost potential? The once peaceful street radiated chaos around us as the storm intensified. I locked eyes with the girl I had raised, the one who had been my guide and anchor beneath this labyrinthine sky. Her presence was my heart, my everything. And yet, standing before me was a child who could shatter everything I had known. A piercing scream erupted from the depths of the alley, silencing the storm for a heartbeat. Mom, don't leave me. In that moment, raw and unyielding, time wavered. Two lost daughters circled around meth past and the present, intertwined in an unholy tempest of hope and despair. As I faltered, caught between fear and love, an ominous truth loomed just beyond comprehension. Our fate hung in the balance, prelude to a new destiny just out of reach, and the realization struck me like a hammer against glass. Whatever choices lay ahead would tear me apart in ways I could never predict. Who was I really willing to fight for in this ever-shifting landscape? And would I be strong enough to stand against the tempest brewing within our very souls? The rain continued to pour down, each droplet a reminder of the storm brewing not just in the sky, but within my very being. I stood frozen, heart racing, consumed by the conflicting cries of two girls who belonged to me yet felt worlds apart. Please, Mom, the girl beside me cried, her voice fractured and laced with desperation. I don't want to be here. The lost girl took a step closer, her face illuminated by the flickering streetlight, a fragile spirit fitting into a narrative I had not chosen, yet one I was being forced to confront. We can find each other, she insisted, voice trembling with urgency. There's a way home. We can be whole. Panic clawed at my insides. Home? I echoed, incredulity coating my tongue. What did she mean, home? I looked back at my daughter, whose wide eyes mirrored nothing short of shattered innocence, a canvas splattered with fear and the overwhelming burden of uncertainty. The woman, a specter of guidance in this tangled web, stepped forward again, hands raised to reassure me. You must listen to them. They are not enemies. They are reflections. The past is bleeding into your present, and you must understand the truth. You alone hold the key to untangling their fates. Her words burned in my chest, igniting a flame of both responsibility and anguish. Would I hinge our survival on what my heart whispered? Or would I fortress myself against this overwhelming tide? The storm between us roared once more, cracking the air. Propelled by instinct, I reached for the girl I knew as my daughter and pulled her close. You are my priority, I insisted fiercely, turning away from the other child, though every fiber of my being ached at the choice I had to make. As I held her, my heart tightened as it whispered a plea for understanding. Why? My daughter's voice wavered, trembling like the leaves against the wind. Why are we leaving her? I can't lose you too, I declared, more to myself than to her. The depth of what I felt for the girl by my side surged, yet the other girl's presence was a vivid neon light illuminating corners of my past I had long buried. Don't you see? The girl in rags implored, her voice steady amid the clamor of creation and chaos. You are both part of this fight. The darkness will only consume you if you don't stand together. A bright flash lit the alley, a momentary glimpse of clarity amid the obscurity. Was I only delaying the inevitable by forcing us away? Could her words be more than desperate pleas? The hands of fate twisted, and I could no longer tell which direction was up or down. Suddenly, a flicker of movement caught my eye, a flash of color bursting forth from the shadows. I spun, all senses heightened, and saw a tiny figure dart into the fringes of our world, a young boy, perhaps no older than 6 or 7, eyes wide with terror, his face streaked with mud. "Help me," he cried, his tiny voice jagged yet fierce. "They're coming." The vulnerability etched across his face sent an icy grip through my heart. This child was another reflection of despair, yet he tugged at another unrecognized thread in the tapestry of sorrows accumulating around us. "Please, I need you," he pleaded, glancing frantically between us as if searching for a savior amidst the encroaching shadows. "Stay back," I shouted, desperation clawing at my throat. My instincts screamed to usher my own daughter away from the encroaching darkness, but my heart beat furiously at the contradiction sinking deep within. "Mom," my daughter whimpered again. "We can help him. We can't just turn away." "Stop." I grasped her shoulders, meeting her terrified gaze. "This isn't safe. This isn't just about being safe." The lost girl stepped in front of me, her voice carrying a weight heavy with urgency. "The longer we delay, the closer danger comes." Her gaze flitted to the boy, who was now peering up at her, mystified. "He's connected to all of us." A crack of thunder split the air, punctuating the moment, and I felt time elongate as the soft sounds of distant sirens grew near, warning us of the approaching storm behind us and perhaps the storm within. "Mom," my daughter cried out again. "Please, we have to help him. We can't leave him to." Two lost children, one unyielding fate. The sirens loomed closer, each note a reminder of urgency and fear that saturation could all too easily transform into violence, and I was becoming numb. "Do it," the woman urged. "Their lives intertwine. You must decide." The ground trembled beneath me, echoing each heart that thudded in my chest. And just as I steeled myself to make a choice, the darkness unfurled from within the alleyway, figures emerging from its grasp, shadows that promised torment, eyes glistening with maddening hunger. My heart lurched as I desperately caught my breath, staring up into the gathering storm. I stood on the precipice of a decision that could fracture our world further. The boy's frightened cry pulled at my heartstrings, woven with the hopes of two girls, bound to the unnameable ties of blood and circumstance. Stand together or fall apart. The lost girl cried as the shadows closed in, their darkness swallowing all light and momentum. That in that moment of silence before the rise of the storm, a chill descended, a harbinger of inevitable loss. And as I looked into the eyes of the ghostly girl and my beloved daughter, I understood the real horror I faced. The choice to protect one would mean sacrificing another. This truth weighed heavier than the storm around us, and my soul felt tethered to the edge of something unfathomable, balancing between love and despair. Who would I choose? The answer loomed, rich with heartbreak, yet barely graspable as the shadows grew closer, edging in on our fragile hope. I could see destiny unfolding, like pages turning on a secret I had yet to discover, and fear gripped me tighter than those icy hands. "Mom," and the world began to tremble as if anticipating the tolling bell of consequence. But in that moment, nothing felt more consequential than the truth I desperately sought. What if I could save them both? And would I finally have the courage to fight against the dark tide threatening to pull us all under? The thunder rumbled ominously above us, a crescendo of chaos crashing down on the fragile peace we existed within. My heart raced, caught in a tumult of emotions, love clashing with fear as I faced the two girls before me, both of whom deserved safety and comfort, yet were tangled in a storm of fate beyond any of our understanding. "Mom, please, we can't leave him." My daughter's voice broke through my swirling thoughts, pulling me back to the reality that demanded action. Her plea hit me with a fierce determination, swimming through the torrent of confusion saturating my mind. It was then that I understood the fight was not just about the choice between losing one daughter or another. This was about creating something new, an alliance forged in desperation and hope, The shadows invisibly pressed against the edges of the alley, inching closer, and I could feel the sinister gaze of fate locked onto us, waiting for the moment to strike. "No," I shouted, my voice cutting through the tension. "We will not leave anyone behind." I locked eyes with the lost girl, her face mirroring a longing that echoed within my own heart. "You're not alone anymore. Neither of you are." For an instant, I saw a flicker of hope pass between them, a silent understanding binding us all together. But the moment shattered as the figure of darkness escalated before us, looming larger than life. "You think you can protect them?" he hissed, weaving through the shadows, the malevolence curling around him. "You're outmatched and out of time." But deep within, a spark ignited a fire that swelled against the tide of dread washing over us. "I am not afraid of the dark," I said, my voice steady, emboldened by the truth that flickered inside me. The memories of lost moments, of the sweet laughter of my own daughter, filled me with a tidal wave of light. "I have fought for what I love long before you entered our lives. Foolishness will cost you dearly," he spat, advancing. Beneath his exterior, I sensed the depths of his desperation, a soul lost to the darkness of his ambitions. "She belongs to the shadows, no," the lost girl cried, stepping forward, an innate bravery encapsulated in her tiny frame. "You don't understand. I'm not just a shadow. I'm alive." In that moment, I grasped her hand tightly alongside my daughter's, forming a circle of warmth amidst the encroaching chill. Together, we bent against the storm brewing around us. "We are not mere reflections," I declared, the words pouring from my heart. "We are strength forged from love, and we will stand united against you." An electric charge pulsed in the air, and suddenly, the shadows surrounding us quivered, an ephemeral edge surfacing in the tension. The figure faltered, uncertainty dancing in his predatory gaze. They were glimmers of our power radiating resilience, casting light against every ounce of fear that I felt it then, an undeniable connection, an energy that coursed through our intertwined fingers. "You may have sought to break us apart, but you fundamentally underestimate the power of our bond." The winds whipped through the alley, howling in protest as the shadows shrieked, recoiling from the flickers of light illuminating our resolve. Memories danced inside my mind, a swirl of laughter, heartache, and the beauty of maternal defiance. This was the culmination of pain and desire, transformative in its intricacy. As long as we breathe and love, we thrive. With a sudden rush of power flowing through us, I directed the energy outward. The darkness writhed, skirting back like a creature struck by sunlight. It recoiled from the truth, from the embodied strength of our alliance. Strength lies not in fear, but in the bonds that protect us. "You may think you can erase our connection, but it flows deeper than blood," I shouted, my voice rising in triumph through the chaos, as if I birthed this momentum with every ounce of willingness and love I'd been holding back. That a blinding light erupted from our clasped hands, sending tendrils of warmth spiraling around us, rushing against the sea of shadows and darkness mantling the alley like the haunting whisper of despair. For the first time, the silhouettes surrounding us began to dissipate. The darkness melted under the brilliance of our shared truth. I was their mother, and we fought not just for survival, but for acceptance of the depth of our destinies intertwined. In a flash of blinding light, the shadowy figure vanished, hollow whispers echoing into silence beneath the tumultuous skies. The air was heavy with realization, and in the eye of that storm, I faced the two daughters. One reflected the love I had found, the other, the love I had lost. In this moment, I understood the beauty of potential that arose when we embraced both sides of our truth. Tears cascaded down my cheeks, mixing with the rain that continued to pour down. The world around us transformed from chaos into a sea of possibilities. "We're going to be okay," I promised, looking at them both, unyielding hope radiating from my heart. "We're going to build our home together." Each of the girls nodded, their expressions illuminated by understanding as they stepped closer, caressing the space between us. It was a heartwarming reunion of long-lost souls, woven together by threads of fate. We would not merely exist in isolation. We would emerge stronger from this. We would reshape our narrative. With renewed purpose, I felt the spark inside soar, pushing against the shadows that encroached upon our lives. From this day forward, I proclaimed, my voice steady and assured, we will embrace our light and honor the deeper bonds that connect us. You are my daughters, and wherever your roots may lie, I will fight to protect you. Always, together, we stepped into the night, and as the darkness receded behind us, I knew that this was only the beginning of a journey we would walk together, hand in hand, bound by love, trust, and the infinitely intertwining threads of our tale. Sometimes, the darkest paths lead to the brightest destinations, reminding us that the pulse of love can heal, unify, and illuminate. And in those moments, nothing, not even shadows, can snuff out our light.